The first poem we're going to be reading is called The Haunted Palace. In the greenest of our valleys, by good angels tenanted, once a fair and stately palace, radiant palace, reared its head. In the monarch thought's dominion it stood there. Never seraph spread a pinion over fabric half so fair. Banners yellow, glorious, golden, on its roof did float and flow. All this was in the olden time long ago, in every gentle air that dallied in that sweet day. Along the ramparts, plumed and pallid, a winged odor went away. Wanderers in that happy valley, through two luminous windows, saw spirits moving musically to a lute's well-tuned law. Round about a throne where, sitting, Porphyrogene, in state his glory well befitting, the ruler of the realm was seen, and all with pearl and ruby glowing was the fair palace door, through which came flowing, and sparkling evermore, a troop of echoes whose sweet duty was but to sing in voices of surpassing beauty the wit and wisdom of their king. But evil things in robes of sorrow assailed the monarch's high estate. Ah, let us mourn, for never morrow shall dawn upon him desolate. And round about his home the glory that blushed and bloomed is but a dim remembered story of the old time entombed. And travelers now within that valley, through the red litten windows, see vast forms that move fantastically to a discordant melody, while lie a ghastly rapid river, through the pale door a hideous throng rush out forever, and laugh, but smile no more. Second poem, The Conqueror Worm. Lo, 'tis a gala night, within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng bewinged, bedight, in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly, where mere puppets they who come and go, at bidding of vast formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings in visible woe. The motley drama, oh, be sure it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth into the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from the scenic solitude. It writhes, with mortal pangs. The mimes become its food, and the angels sob at vermin fangs and human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form the curtain of funeral pall comes down with the rush of a storm, and the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy man, and its hero, the conqueror worm. Poem number 3, to Francis S. Osgood. Thou wouldst be loved, then let thy heart from its present pathway part not. Being everything which now thou art, be nothing which thou art not. So with the world thy gentle ways, thy grace, thy more than beauty, shall be an endless theme of praise, and love a simple duty. Poem number 4, to one in paradise. Thou wast all that to me love, for which my soul did pine, a green isle in the sea, love, a fountain and a shrine, all wreathed with fairy fruits and flowers, and all the flowers were mine. Ah, dream too bright to last, ah, starry hope that didst arise but to be overcast. A voice from out the future cries, on, but over the past. Dim gulf my spirit hovering lies, mute, motionless, aghast. For alas, alas, with me the light of life is over. No more, no more, no more. Such language holds the solemn sea to the sands upon the shore. Shall bloom the thunder-blasted tree, or the stricken eagle soar, and all my days are trances, and all my nightly dreams are where thy dark eye glances, and where thy footstep gleams, and what ethereal dances, by what eternal streams. The Valley of Unrest. Once it smiled a silent dell where the people did not dwell. They had gone on to the wars, trusting to the mild-eyed stars, nightly from their azure towers, to keep watch above the flowers, in the midst of which all day the red sunlight lazily lay. Now each visitor shall confess the sad valley's restlessness. Nothing there is motionless, nothing save the airs that brood over the magic solitude. Ah, by no wind are stirred those trees that palpitate like the chilled seas around the misty Hebrides. Ah, by no wind those clouds are driven that rustle through the unquiet heaven, uneasily from morn till even, over the violets there that lie, in myriad types of the human eye, over the lilies there that wave and weep above a nameless grave. They wave from out their fragrant tops, eternal dews come down in drops. They weep from off their delicate stems, perennial tears descend in gems. Next poem. The City and the Sea. Lo, death has reared himself in a throne, in a strange city lying alone, far down within the dim west, where the good and the bad and the worst and the best have gone to their eternal rest, to their shrines and palaces and towers, time-eaten towers that tremble not, resemble nothing that is ours. Around, by lifting wings forgot, winds forgot, resignedly beneath the sky, the melancholy waters lie. No rays from the holy heaven come down on the long night time of that town, but light from out the lurid sea streams up the turrets silently, gleams up the pinnacles far and free, up domes, up spires, up kingly halls, up fanes of Babylon-like walls, up shadowy long-forgotten bowers of sculptured ivy and stone flowers, up many and many a marvelous shrine, whose wreathed friezes intertwine. The viol, the violet, and the vine, resignedly beneath the sky, the melancholy waters lie, so blend the turrets and shadows there, that all seem pendulous in air, while from a proud tower in the town death looks gigantically down. There open fanes and gaping graves yawn level with the luminous waves, but not the riches there that lie in each idol's diamond eye, not the gaily jeweled dead tempt the waters from their bed, for no ripples curl at last along that wilderness of glass, no swellings tell that winds may be upon some far-off happier sea, no heavings hint that winds have been on sea less hideously serene. But lo, a stir is in the air, the wave, there it's a movement there, as if the towers had thrown aside in a slightly sinking the dull tide, as if their tops had feebly given a void within the firmly heaven. The waves have now a redder glow, the hours are breathing faint and low, and when amid no earthly moans, down, down, that town shall settle hence, hell, rising from 1,000 thrones, shall do it reverence. Light is coming. Next poem, The Sleeper. At midnight, in the month of June, I stand beneath the mystic moon. An opiate vapor, dewy dim, exhales from out her golden rim, and softly dripping, drop by drop, upon the quiet mountain top, steals drowsily and musically into the universal valley. The rosemary nods upon the grave, the lily lolls upon the wave, wrapping the fog about its breast, the ruin moulders into rest, looking like Lethe Sea the lake, a conscious slumber seems to take, and would not for the world awake. All beauty sleeps, and lo, where lies her casement open to the skies, Irene with her destinies. O lady bright, can it be right, this window upon to the night, open to the night? The wanton airs from the treetop laughingly through the lattice drop, the bodiless airs a wizard rout flit through thy chamber in and out, and wave the curtain canopy so fitfully, so fearfully, above the closed and fringed lid, neath which thy slumbering soul lies hid, that over the floor and down the wall, like ghosts, the shadows rise and fall. O lady dear, hast thou no fear? Why and what art thou dreaming here? Sure thou art come over far off seas, a wanderer to these garden trees. Strange is thy pallor, strange thy dress, strange above all the lengths of tress, and this all solemn silentness. The lady sleeps. O may her sleep, which is enduring, so be deep. Heaven have her in its sacred keep. This chamber changed for one more holy, this bed for one more melancholy. I pray to God that she may lie forever with an unopened eye, while the dim sheeted ghosts go by. My love, she sleeps. Oh, may her sleep, as it is lasting, so be deep. Soft may the worms about her creep, far in the forest dim and old, for her may some tall vault unfold, some vault that oft hath flung its black and winged panels fluttering back, triumphant over the crested palls of her grand family funerals, some sepulchre remote alone, against whose portal she hath thrown in childhood many an idle stone, some tomb from out whose sounding door she never shall force an echo more. Thrilling to think, poor child of sin, it was the dead who groaned within. Next poem. Silence. There are some qualities, some incorporate things that have a double life, which thus is made a type of that twin entity which springs from matter and light, evinced in solid and shade. There is a twofold silence, sea and shore, body and soul. One dwells in lonely places, newly with grass overgrown, some solemn graces, some human memories and tearful lore render him terrorless, his name's no more. He is the corporate silence, dread him not, no power hath he of evil in himself. But should some urgent fate, untimely lot, bring thee to meet a shadow, nameless elf, that haunteth the lone regions where hath trod no foot of man, commend thyself to God. Next poem. A dream within a dream. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong, who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Next poem. Dreamland. By a route obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright, I have reached these lands but newly from an ultimate dim Thule, from a wild weird clime that lieth sublime out of space, out of time. Bottomless vales and boundless floods, and chasms and caves and Titan woods, with forms that no man can discover for the dews that drip all over, mountains toppling evermore into seas without a shore, seas that restlessly aspire, surging onto skies of fire, lakes that endlessly outspread their lone waters lone and dead, their still waters still and chilly, with the snows of the lolling lily. By the lakes that thus outspread their lonely waters lone and dead, their sad waters sad and chilly, with the snows of the lolling lily, by the mountains near the river, murmuring lowly, murmuring ever, by the grey woods, by the swamp where the toad and the newt encamp, by the dismal tarns and pools, where dwell the ghouls, by each spot the most unholy, in each nook most melancholy. There the traveller meets aghast sheeted memories of the past, shrouded forms that start and sigh as they pass the wanderer by, white-robed forms of friends long given in agony to the earth and heaven. For the heart whose woes are legion, 'tis a peaceful soothing region. For the spirit that walks in shadow, 'tis, oh 'tis an Eldorado. But the traveller travelling through it may not, dare not openly view it. Never its mysteries are exposed to the weak human eye unclosed. so wills its king, who hath forbid the uplifting of the fringed lid. And thus the sad soul that here passes beholds it but through darkened glasses, by a route obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an Eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright. I have wandered home but newly from the ultimate dim Thule. Next poem. To Zante. Fair isle, that from the fairest of all flowers thy gentlest of all gentle names dost take, how many memories of what radiant hours at sight of thee in thine at once awake! How many scenes of what departed bliss, how many thoughts of what entombed hopes, how many visions of a maiden that is no more, no more upon thy verdant slopes. No more, alas, that magical sad sound transforming all, thy charms shall please no more, thy memory no more, accursed ground, henceforth I hold my flower enamelled ashore. O hyacinthine isle, O purple Zante, Isola d'oro, fior di Levante. Next poem. Eulalie. I dwelt alone in a world of moan, and my soul was a stagnant tide. I dwelt alone in a world of moan, and my soul was a stagnant tide, till the fair and gentle Eulalie became my blushing bride. Wait a minute. Yeah. Till the yellow-haired young Eulalie became my smiling bride. I less bright, the stars of the night, than the eyes of the radiant girl, and never a flake that the vapor can make, with the moon tints of purple and pearl, can vie with the modest Eulalie's most unregarded curl, can compare with the bright-eyed Eulalie's most humble and careless curl. Now doubt, now pain, come never again, for her soul gives me sigh for sigh. And all day long shines bright and strong Astarte within the sky, while ever to her dear Eulalie upturns her matron eye, while ever to her young Eulalie upturns her violet eye. Next poem. El Dorado. Gaily bedight a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song, in searching of El Dorado. But he grew old, this knight so bold, and over his heart a shadow fell as he found no spot of ground that looked like El Dorado. And as his strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim shadow. Shadow, said he, where can it be? This land of El Dorado, over the mountains of the moon, down the valley of the shadow. Ride boldly, ride, the shade replied, if you seek for El Dorado. Next poem. Israfel. In heaven a spirit doth dwell, whose heartstrings are a lute. None sing so wildly well as the angel Israfel. And the giddy stars, so legends tell, ceasing their hymns, attend the spell of his voice all mute. Tottering above in her highest noon, the enamored moon blushes with love, while to listen the red 11, while with the rapid Pleiades even, which were 7, pauses in heaven, and they say, the starry choir, and the others listening things, that Israfel's fire is owing to that lyre, by which he sits and sings, the trembling living wire of those unusual strings. But the skies that angel trod, where deep thoughts are duty, where love's a grown-up God, where the houri glances are imbued with all the beauty which we worship in a star. Therefore, thou art not wrong, Israfeli, who despisest an impassioned song. To the laurels belong, best bard, because the wisest merrily live and long. The ecstasies above with thy burning measures suit, thy grief, thy joy, thy hate, thy love, with the fervor of thy lute. Well may the stars be mute. Yes, heaven is thine, but this is a world of sweets and sours. Our flowers are merely flowers, and the shadow of thy perfect bliss is the sunshine of ours. If I could dwell where Israfel hath dwelt, and he were I, he might not sing so wildly well a mortal melody, while a bolder note than this might swell from my lyre within the sky. Next poem. For Annie. Thank heaven the crisis, the danger is past, and the lingering illness is over at last, and the fever called living is conquered at last. Sadly I know I am shorn of my strength, and no muscle I move, as I lie at full length. But no matter, I feel I am better at length, and I rest so composed now in my bed that any beholder might fancy me dead, might start at beholding me, thinking me dead, the mourning and groaning, the sighing and sobbing, and quieted now with that horrible throbbing at heart, that horrible, horrible throbbing, the sickness, the nausea, the pitiless pain, have ceased with the fever that maddened my brain, with the fever called living that burned in my brain. And oh, of all tortures, that torture the worst has abated the terrible torture of thirst. For the Naphthaline river of passion accursed, I have drink of a water that quenches all thirst, of a water that flows with a lullaby sound from a spring but a very few feet underground, from a cavern not very far down underground. And let it never be foolishly said that my room it is gloomy and narrow my bed, for man never slept in a different bed, and to sleep you must slumber in just such a bed. My tantalized spirit here blandly reposes, forgetting or never regretting its roses, its old agitations of myrtles and roses, for now, while so quietly lying, it fancies a holier odor. About it of pansies a rosemary odor, commingled with pansies with rue and the beautiful Puritan pansies, and so it lies happily, bathing in many a dream of the truth and the beauty of Annie, drowned in a bath of the tresses of Annie. She tenderly kissed me, she fondly caressed, and then I fell gently to sleep on her breast, deeply to sleep from the heaven of her breast. When the light was extinguished, she covered me warm, and she prayed to the angels to keep me from harm, to the queen of the angels to shield me from harm, and I lie so composedly now in my bed, knowing her love that you fancy me dead, and I rest so contentedly now in my bed, with her love at my breast that you fancy me dead, that you shudder to look at me, thinking me dead. But my heart it is brighter than all of my many stars in the sky, for it sparkles with Annie, it glows with the light of the love of my Annie, with its thought of the light of the eyes of my Annie. Next poem. 2. I heed not that my earthly lot hath little of earth in it, that years of love have been forgot in the hatred of a minute. I mourn not, the desolate are happier, sweeter than I, but that you sorrow for my fate, who am I, a passer-by. Next poem. Bridal Ballad. The ring is on my hand, and the wreath is on my brow. Satins and jewels grand are all at my command, and I am happy now. And my lord, he loves me well, but when first he breathed his vow, I felt my bosom swell, for the words rang as a knell, and the voice seemed his who fell in the battle down the dell, and who is happy now. But he spoke to reassure me, and he kissed my pallid brow, while a reverie came over me, and to the churchyard bore me, and I sighed to him before me, thinking him dead. Delore me. Oh, I am happy now. And thus the words were spoken, and this is the plighted vow. And though my faith be broken, and though my heart be broken, behold the golden token that proves me happy now. Would God I could awaken, for I dream I know not how, and my soul is sorely shaken, lest an evil step be taken, lest the dead who is forsaken may not be happy now. Last poem of the entire book. It's called 2F. Beloved, amid the earnest woes, the crowd around my earthly path, drear path, alas, where grows not even one lonely rose, my soul at least a solace hath in dreams of thee, and therein knows an Eden of bland repose. And thus thy memory is to me like some enchanted far-off isle, in some tumultuous sea, some ocean throbbing far and free with storms, but where meanwhile serenest skies continually just over that one bright island smile. And that's it. So, those are the poems of Edgar Allan Poe, completed.